The content shared on the Brain Scrub podcast is for entertainment, personal reflection, and general information only. The views expressed by the host and guest are based on personal experiences and opinions and may not reflect scientific research or professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for medical, psychological, or therapeutic guidance. If you are seeking support for your mental health or well-being, please consult a qualified professional. By listening, you acknowledge that any actions you take based on the ideas discussed are your own responsibility. Hello, welcome to the Brain Scrub. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. It's Jeff and Glenn again. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Give me some instant gratification. Do it. Now.
I can't do
On demand. I want it now. I need affirmation.
I don't know what you want me to say to that.
I don't know, you see? But you know, that's kind of world we live in, right? It's, let me know now. Do you like that? Do you like me?
No, it's horrible. It creates anxiety.
Why do you say that?
Well, because it's an expectation that everything's convenient and everything needs to be delivered on the spot, right? We've made it such a part of our lives to have convenience at the click of a button.
We have, which is like far different from when you and I were growing up. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the episode is the impact of what we perceive the impact is of instant gratification, this world that we live in, that we need to know everything now. And I remember back when I was a kid, if I wanted to find out the population of China, where did you go?
Look up in the Encyclopedia Britannica.
For our listeners, what is the Encyclopedia Britannica?
It's a big, thick book
Yeah.
that well, not you necessarily, but in my case, my aunt and uncle, they used to order these Encyclopedia Britannicas, and and you'd have to order them. They would order them, and they would, come in the mail, and you'd have to look up in the book under C because they would have every volume was a different letter in the alphabet, right? And so you'd have to look, okay, China, and look up China in the encyclopedia, and it'd probably tell you the population and everything you could possibly know about China from a high level, like, what their main economy is and their population and their cities and all these things, right?
Yeah, so we physically had to go to a bookshelf, look at all those volumes there. And I remember ours was probably a meter long in terms of what the world is at the time everything was published. My parents also had this book that was about 6 inches wide that had everything in it, supposedly, but it didn't have everything in it. So we had to go out there and actually find information, get up off the couch, open a book, or go to the library.
Or bike down to the library. Yeah, exactly. And then in the library it was a process too, because then you had to look at the card catalog and go through all that. Remember those little cabinets, the files that you pull out, and then you'd have to look for the little white card.
The Dewey Decimal System.
The Dewey Decimal System, yeah, and it still exists. And now you can just type in, even the library has become easy because you can just type in the name of an author or subject or whatever, and it'll bring up a list of all the books that you can find, right?
Yeah, and the library is different nowadays. Where I live, I can't walk to my library, but I would have to drive there. And it's a place for the unhoused. There's a lot of unhoused people that live in the library now, part-time.
Might as well educate yourself, right?
Yeah.
But they probably need to get out of the elements, right? It's a warm place to go. It's a public place that's open all day long, or it's a cool place to go in the summertime when it's hot, right? So,
yeah. I hear you. It's created a bit of a stigma around the library as well, what it's become and how to get youth back into it. And how do you do that when you have a phone in front of you that has everything?
Well, and not only that, now you have AI, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to ask the question, and AI will come up with all the information.
So what does that mean for our future?
I don't know, dude. Honestly, it's kind of scary because you got to ask yourself, like, how accurate this information is. Who's going to be the source of truth going forward? Is it AI or humans, right? And that's the scary thing, because we're going to grow up with a generation who has really never discerned what is fact and what is fiction, right? Because they've never had a source of truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because anything can be printed on the internet. We had a source of truth. And I'm not saying it was always 100% accurate, but we trusted the the books that are published, the, the encyclopedias, the journals, things like that. Nowadays, people don't go to those sources to find what is real, what is what is actual research, what is truth, what is based on reality, as opposed to what probably is a distorted sense of reality now through all the algorithms on the internet, right?
Yeah, and alternate realities. Like look at
Yeah,
climate change. People
yeah,
believe that Trump says climate change is a hoax, and they just stick to that. They don't bother looking at the facts or what's in the encyclopedia to look at the real data. They just
yeah.
believe, yeah, there's no climate change yet. I know where you are, and there's many fires going on around the world. Spain is engulfed in flames, but then you have this population out there that says, no, 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 it doesn't exist because I don't know, for many reasons. But
Well, they just want to believe what they want to believe. They don't need fact. They just need to have their beliefs reinforced, right?
yeah,
So that they can feel whatever safe and secure in the world, whatever it might be. And maybe it's because they don't want to lose their power or status, or whatever it is, right? Because there's a lot of people obviously out there who don't believe in climate change who probably would lose power and status, right? Like if people believe in climate change, then one would think governments and people would really act differently, right? And so who's most likely to lose power and status? It's all the people caught up in the fossil fuel industries, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously it's part of their ego needs that are threatened,
Yeah,
right? And their very livelihood is threatened. So they have to not believe in it, because it's easier to not believe in it to fulfill their own ego needs, because then they have a more secure future for themselves. Because what are they going to do if all of a sudden they can't derive their living from that industry?
yeah, that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Whole
For
other
sure. Oh, yeah,
topic.
that's huge, that topic of discussion. Now, with the instant gratification, you and I both made a decision to go off Facebook.
Yeah.
How's that been for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I'm not exposed to all the vitriol that has been happening, especially over the last year or so. It's become so polarized, and people are so horrible to each other. There's no, they say it's a social networking site, portal, platform, but it's not a social networking. Social to me is people are friendly together and you connect with them and you laugh and enjoy their company. Facebook's not social. It's deplorable. It's become, like I said, a cesspool of vitriol that people just spewing, and ranting, and arguing and not listening to each other. They just people. It's just people entrenched in their own beliefs, some based on fact and some based on fiction, and they're just like this, and there's no humanity left in it, because you can hide behind your avatar, your anonymity on the internet, right? You can hide
Mm-hmm.
behind it. There's no immediate threat to you to be able to say whatever you want, because the person may or may not even know you, and if
Yeah.
they don't know, how are they going to find you? So yeah, I just think it's so I felt really good about that decision. I've been off for about a year now, and I haven't looked back, because I'm not exposed to all that. I guess what it is, I found that I spent more time, obviously, just doom scrolling, which is a mindless activity. So I have a lot more time that's freed up for other things, but also I don't have the emotional roller coaster as I used to, in terms of, some of the comments I would read and whatnot that would just enrage me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's meant for. People just, it's like people say things just to get a reaction.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing this every day. I'm just in my own space, in my world, right?
That's a good point, just around emotional regulation. Yeah, I found the same thing when I was on Facebook, and I noticed the same thing in my wife, because my wife is still on Facebook, and I don't know why it let it bother me so much, but I think this fear of missing out for her, and she wants to know what's going on in the community, and everybody communicates through Facebook about events. And if I don't know what's going on, that's fine, right? Then I have more time to do what I want to do versus having to chase something to do all the time. But for me, yeah, I used to sometimes put up controversial remarks to get reactions, and I would want to see if people liked it. And yeah, at first I'd feel really empowered because I'm here on this tool, I'm putting something in there, but I don't necessarily think about the wider impact of what's going to happen. And then I rely on getting positive recognition about my post. And yeah, I never thought of that way, that it's an emotional up and down, and no wonder it causes stress and harder to regulate our emotions when we're hooked on to things for instant gratification purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the flip side is the negative stuff too. It's like you look for the positive reinforcement of your own beliefs, point of view, whatever it is. But then the flip side of it is if someone responds to it or reacts to it in the opposite way, right? And then you feel the anger or whatever around that, or maybe nobody reacts at all, and then you think, well, why didn't anybody say anything about that? Am I the only one that thinks this? Or it's like you get into another spiral as well. So I find like I'm just not on that train anymore, waiting for people's reactions or comments to either to justify my point of view, or conversely make me feel bad about my point of view, right?
Yeah, and we want to feel good. And this happened with my wife. She has all these friends on Facebook, and then one of them had a party where her face was not in the photo. So instantly, she's like, "Why wasn't I invited?" Where if you don't even know about that stuff, it doesn't really matter. So who are we trying to please, or what are we trying to get out of posting stuff and reading stuff?
Well, I think it's recognition. It's trying to say that like I exist,
Yeah.
right?
And why is it that we need it? This is a deeper question. Why is it that we need to use such a tool to exist, or to feel that we exist?
I don't know. Honestly, I wish I knew that I answered that question. I'm not sure myself. I don't feel that need anymore.
Yeah.
So, uh, like you said, Fran likes to go on there to know what's happening, to stay in touch, see what's going on. But truthfully, is it really what's going on? Or is it just what people want us to see, what we think is going on? Because what's going on is deeper than what's on Facebook. What actually is happening, right?
In what way?
Well, just within oneself. So emotionally, well, we always seem to present the best aspect of ourselves on social media. You ever notice that? I find LinkedIn
Oh
very
yeah, for sure.
pretentious.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like LinkedIn too. LinkedIn is the Facebook of work, and I find it very pretentious. And what I find with LinkedIn is people, it's like it's like they want to be recognized for being really smart and having all this knowledge, and almost I feel like people are, it's almost worse than Facebook in some ways, in that people are trying to be somebody in their career, in their work, to try to show how intelligent they are, or that they have something of value to add. And I get it, and I understand that. And at the same time, I just feel it's the same. It's like, really, who are all these people? Because it's not their work. We're not our
Mm-hmm.
jobs, but yet we're presenting this image of who we are through LinkedIn, or same with Facebook too. Like, again, it's like we're always showing the best part of ourselves most of the time through these mediums, and really we don't know that person's reality. Because would you ever post on LinkedIn how much you hate your job, how shitty your manager was to you, or whatever it might be?
Yeah,
No,
so it's
right?
hiding the truth. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But
So that's what I mean is Facebook, LinkedIn, all those, it's not reality. So we get this warped sense of people's reality and this mental picture of what reality is, when in fact the reality of everyone's lives is very different.
yes. Oh my gosh, so much has come up for me. I'm really, number one is how in our school system when you and I were kids, we were brought up to try to be the best, to try to be the top of the class, and to try to get that recognition. And we saw people with recognition. I find when I was on Facebook or when I looked on LinkedIn, I sometimes look at people with great envy, like, wow, look at their lives, look what they're doing, and I'm not doing that. And in all fairness, I used to do that as well. It's like, okay, here I am. I'm on this Mediterranean cruise. Look what I'm doing, and how amazing this is, and you're not. And I didn't do it in a malicious way, but after I did that kind of stuff, I started realizing, yeah, that's actually what happens. We might think that we're trying to inform people of what's happening in our lives, but there's many of us like me who would say, shit, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything fun. I'm just sitting here all by myself on social media looking at what you're doing. But then we do that
Yeah,
with movies and stuff, right?
yeah, and it's funny you say that because I had a friend who recently said that to me, because I have struggles and challenges in my life too, and they're like, but you spent like so much time in Maui and traveling and things like that, and I'm like, yeah, and I said a lot of it's been wonderful, but you also don't see the downside of some of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and there has been a downside to some of that, right? It's not all roses and unicorns all the time. There's challenges and struggles in life, but people tend not to share those online because it's a public medium, right? We don't expose that online. So I think what's happened is we don't expose that online because we only trust a few number of people in our life, like really trust them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We feel safe with them, right? Like you and I can share pretty much anything together,
Yeah.
and we feel safe. But I wouldn't share something I share with you online. Now and again, you might get something where people are vulnerable,
Yeah. Yeah.
but a lot of times people don't go that deep in social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, again, we're warping our sense of reality because we really don't know what's happening in that person's life. We just see a picture at one point in time of them enjoying something. Maybe it's a vacation or a cup of coffee or whatever it might be, but we don't know what's going on inside them either, right? Really.
Yeah. These are just fleeting moments that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I think we got to get back to instant gratification here. I think in a way how that fulfills instant gratification is if we post something, it's like it almost makes everything okay in that moment. When I'm posting something, let's say I'm taking a picture of, I used to take lots of pictures mountain biking. It's like in that moment, everything's okay. I feel satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that instant gratification that I am doing something. I am somebody,
Yeah. I'm
right?
busy.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My life is busy.
My life is meaningful,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find this all just hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a somebody. Look at me. Look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And yeah. And why is that important to advertise out there? Or what does it say about oneself if you're doing that? Because I read something recently that social media is kind of an escape from being with who you are and yourself and being in your thoughts. And so you're just expressing yourself, which means you're not managing your emotions or looking at your emotions or looking at those true, like, how am I doing right now? Versus just projecting out on the world in terms of this is what I'm doing, but we're running away from ourselves.
Yeah, essentially, it's like we're disassociating with ourselves in some ways. And that's why I think there's a lot more mental health issues in younger generations, right? Because they've grown up with social media a lot and they think that's reality. But they've actually become more disconnected from themselves, their emotions and sharing those emotions and connecting with other people they feel safe with and sharing those emotions instead of focusing on like we did when we were kids. We built connections in real life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's no hiding our emotions, right? When we're around our friends, something good happened, we feel happy. Something bad happened, we feel sad or mad or angry or whatever, or afraid. But online, most people only share the best aspects of their life. So we don't really know what's hiding underneath all of that. And so I feel like younger generations, especially, they've been sort of, there's a comparison too. Why is this person living that that life and it looks so amazing. So we get this golden projection of that person, and my life is the way it is. Well, the truth is that person is just trying to fulfill some, deep need within themselves, but their lives aren't any better than yours.
No, and another part of this, which is kind of related, is Instagram as an example, where people are posting that, like for an example, there's this hike on Vancouver Island called 5040, and people started posting things online about how amazing the hike is, and now apparently some are saying we should call it Highway 5040. It's gotten so busy because of all this sharing of this is what it's like, come here. And this is happening all over the world, where people are starting to go to tourist areas and find out these remote places because people are posting it online. And then, like, when I look at that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh man, I want to see that. So I see their gratification and I want to do it. So it's causing me stress because now I feel I need to do that to experience it. Versus, so it's kind of like I was always running. I was always running to something new, and I have to see this and I have to see that. And
Well,
that
well,
had an
and
impact on my stress levels for sure. And it also has an impact. Sorry, Jeff, I just want to say one other thing here.
yeah, yeah,
When Fran is out there as an example, trying to find different things to do or looking at Facebook, and she tells me about it, then I start feeling overwhelmed and stressed out about it. Like, now I need to please her because she wants to see that. And now I have more to get done, which takes me away from just being in my life. But all these other pressures are now coming at me through this world that we live in.
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it creates more anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is happening with younger generations too. Anxiety rates have gone up amongst younger generations because of social media, because it's that fear of missing out, and that somehow somebody else's life is better. So I want that, right? I want that because if I get that, I'll be happy. The reality is then they go to do that and they realize they're still not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reality of that picture, that moment in time, let's say it's that hike or whatever, is yeah, maybe that person did that hike and in that moment it was awesome and beautiful and wonderful, but it's just a moment and it doesn't convey the entire picture of, oh, what if that person, sprained their ankle or on that hike, or it was hot and they were sweaty and they ran out of water. The reality of life is very different from what we post on social media. You can't convey all of that emotion and experience of living that life to that moment through social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have this distorted picture of the world because of social media. And so they'll never, so it's created more anxiety of, I don't have that, I want more, I should do that. It's a judgment on themselves, on their life, that I should, right? Anytime we should, or someone else or ourselves, it's a judgment. And then, so it creates that anxiety that I'm not good enough unless I do this, or my
Yeah.
life isn't meaningful enough unless I do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go out and do it, and it's like, oh, and then they want to take a picture of it as well, and just perpetuate that cycle for other people. And the reality is that, yeah, maybe there is some fulfillment in achieving that or doing that, but at the end of the day, it's fleeting,
Oh,
right?
totally. Yeah. If I think about our recent trip that I did with my wife to Vietnam, I took so many photos. So that's a whole other thing, is the onset of the camera and taking videos and things like that. We grew up in a time where there's cameras as well. However, these snapshots of life, how often do we actually go back and look at them, and how meaningful is it? Like, I had a whole stack of photos, Jeff, that I got from my dad when he passed away, and just photos that I had as a kid. And I collected them all and I looked through them all. And I threw out probably 3/4 of the photos, and I only kept the photos of my family. But when I'm out there in Vietnam, as an example, looking at all these places, I'll take photos of them and everything. In the long run, yeah, what is that all about? This need to take a photo of something so I can share it. So versus always going to be in my head, likely.
Yeah, and again, the reality is that you're taking a picture of a moment, and once that moment is gone, so is the joy of that moment.
Yeah.
Like you can't capture the joy of that moment through a picture.
Oh, wise one, Jeff. You're
The
opening up.
joy is experienced, right?
Yeah.
But once that moment is gone, so when we look at photos, it's all dead. It's already dead. It doesn't exist. Like I don't even it's funny because I don't even take pictures on my travels anymore. I shouldn't say I don't. I take a few
Hmm.
just to say, hey, just if anything, I don't have anything to share it on, so I don't share them anymore. It's just more for me to remember some of those experiences,
Yeah.
right? As a way to as a means to remember. Oh yeah, we did this trip, and oh yeah, we went to this place, and that was really cool. It was fun, and it was more about the connection, right? Like when I look back at my like when my son and I went down to Mexico to do a little surfing and that, we were there for a week, and I might have took half a dozen pictures, very few, but it was just enough to make me feel like just as a way to remember that trip. Not to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing this, because I don't have anybody to share it with. I'm not sharing them with anybody. It's just maybe just a way to capture the memory for myself,
Hmm.
because that trip meant something for me, because it was a trip that I got to do alone with my younger son.
Well, and one thing that you said there, just around when you're taking that photo, you are feeling, and I'm feeling a certain emotion when I, like, for example, I went to a cave in Vietnam and it was just so brilliant. And I felt so much joy and excitement. And I wanted to take a photo of that so I could show others. But I can't bring my photo doesn't include when I show others my joy and excitement. It's just a picture. So
Yeah.
there's that emotional moment, and emotions drive our behaviors, that we take the photo, show it to others, but it's not going to have the same impact.
No, because they weren't there to experience it.
No, right?
And they're not you, so they couldn't experience it. Because and the funny thing is if there were other people in that picture that you were in, the person standing next to you could remember the experience very differently.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a miserable experience for them, right?
So instant gratification is really a selfish rather act.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, because it's all about ourself. It's all about putting putting our ego on a pedestal. Look at me, I'm special.
And then when people don't acknowledge it, or if I show them a photo, or if I was on Facebook, and because I had one friend who got hundreds of likes on their posts. Mind you, they had a whole bunch of friends that were there on their Facebook feed, and I don't get any. Then, yeah, it builds this feeling of inadequacy, not good enough, I'm not interesting enough. It's a
Yeah.
spiraling loop, all for my need of trying to be noticed.
Yeah. So what it does, and this is what I mean, is this is where I think a lot of younger generations have lost emotional resiliency. In the past, we would have to deal with those emotions, and in real life, and now what's happening is we're looking in, like we instead of looking for internal validation, we're looking for external validation. So we're giving away our power even more,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're waiting for the likes and the comments and all these things, wonderful things. Even if it's negative attention, it's still attention, right? Even if someone says something like, "Oh, that looks like that's," I disagree. Whether it's a comment you've made and they disagree with you, or a picture you've taken and they might say, "Oh, that looks really terrible. I wouldn't want to do that." Whatever it might be, we're still looking for some sort of reaction, whether it's positive or negative. So we're looking for validation outside of ourselves. So less and less, and this is what I mean by I think younger generations are struggling even more. It's because they don't have an internal locus of control, right? They
Yeah.
don't have that internal sense of validation. They're not validating themselves. They're looking to their peers to validate them.
Yeah, in all fairness, it's not just the younger generation. I think as an older generation as well, we're
Yes.
constantly looking for external validation, and the problem is, I think it's driving more loneliness, which is a killer. That's
Yeah.
becoming more and more common. It's no wonder that it is. But I'll, like, as an example, I'll be home and I'll be looking at my YouTube feed or whatever to find out the latest and greatest on what's going on in the news. Not that there's been much of the greatest lately. And Fran will be on Facebook looking through her feed or looking through recipes, but we're doing it all alone, and we're providing validation. We're getting self gratification and watching other people and not paying attention to each other, or just like people on when they go out to dinner. I see this all the time, and I do it. I'm also this way. It's like, hey, look at this photo, or people are on their phones trying to find stuff, or they come up with this, like, come up with an interesting topic, and I wonder what the answer is. Well, I'm just going to check Google. I'm going to find the answer right away. So we're constantly chasing in the moment information. For what purpose? Yeah, I guess it does feed the ego, right? Because now I know.
Exactly. Yeah. I know, as opposed to I don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay to not to know. It's okay not to know. Why do we have to know everything? It's okay if we don't. Does it matter if I know the population of China in this moment? Not really.
Yeah. What difference is it? Yeah. It doesn't make a difference, really.
No.
Other than trying to, like, the ego need, or trying to be smarter than somebody else, or getting that information. Like, sometimes I'll walk with one of my buddies and we'll see this plant, and I'll say, I wonder what kind of plant that is. And he'll just, like, right away grab his phone, take a picture of it, and he'll say, it's blah, 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 blah. And okay, I got that information at that moment. Am I going to remember it? He does, but I don't. And it's meaningless. So in a way, I think social media is leading to meaningless knowledge
Well,
and
it's a
information.
way, yeah, it's a way for us to feel somehow superior to others because we have more knowledge or information. But really, what it's doing is just covering up our own insecurities. Because if I don't have all this knowledge, then who am I?
Yeah, and the other aspect of instant gratification is just, I think, the level of impatience that we feel, like having to stand up in a line somewhere or waiting for something. We're used to getting things right away. And this is one other thing I wanted to talk about with instant gratification. What are you noticing in the youth of today, or just even in adults, around this world that we live in, that right away I can go on Amazon, I can pick what I want, I'm going to get it next day. Or I can do my banking online, or I can, information's at my fingertips. I know what's going on in the world. Like, the
Yeah.
whole knowing what's going on in the world. I grew up with news, but now I think we're more interconnected with the world around different opinions around what's going on. So we're not only just dealing with the facts, we're dealing with all these multiple areas of opinion, and how that must cause a lot of anxiety as well. Because who do I trust? Where do I go? Or this stress of waiting as well for different things. Is there anything you've noticed with that?
Well, I think obviously there's because everything is instantly available to us, whether it's information or products or services, it's all convenience, right? So we no longer have to we no longer have to work for something to get something. We can click a button. So it doesn't feel as fulfilling because we didn't go through the effort and expend the energy of actually, getting it. So for example, the difference, I remember I used to collect Star Wars figures when I was a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were like $3 at the time each, approximately, maybe four. I can only imagine how many I would have bought if I could have just clicked the button and had them delivered to my door the next day, or even the same day for that matter nowadays. I probably would have had 200 of them if I could do that, but I didn't. I only had so many. I got them on very special occasions because they weren't convenient, right? So for me to get that action figure, I would have to uh, have money, first of all, like actual cash,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have to be driven in a car. Like you have to go into 20 minutes away to Oshawa from where I lived to go to the mall and to go into a store and find the actual action figure that I wanted and then bring it home. So, there's a whole journey in going to buy something, right? So there's more fulfillment in getting it because I had to wait. That longing was extended. And in some ways, that longing brings more joy than the actual action figure because once you have the action figure, the joy is dead, right? Or at least it will be within a few days, because like, when we're children, it's like as soon as the ego need is met, they throw it in the closet and you never play with it again.
Well, yeah, it's almost like it's an addiction as
Totally.
well.
So now
Yeah.
that addiction, that just the cycle has sped up so much, right? It's just a constant cycle of, oh, I'll just click the button and order, click the button, click the button, click constantly. And there's no, so how can one ever feel complete satisfaction and joy and actually feel deep gratification when you've done none of the work or effort to feel fully to feel that gratification? It's ironic, isn't it? Because to feel grateful for something, to feel truly, uh, to have that gratification, we have to feel like we earned it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like I earned something. It's easy just to click a button. It doesn't feel the same because I don't see the fruits of my labor to earning what it is that I'm purchasing or buying. And not only that, there's no discernment anymore. And I think I brought this up to you the other day. I feel like a lot of people, they'll buy things and say, "Oh, I saved money. I bought it online. I found it for less." Did you save money? Did you really need that? Or is
Mm-hmm.
that just fulfilling some sort of instant gratification desire in the moment? Because maybe you're not actually saving money. Maybe had you wait and thought about it and actually had to put the effort into going to a store to purchase it and find it in the store and whatever it might be, maybe in the time, maybe it would have taken you a few extra hours or maybe a couple extra days because you have other things going on. You might have decided, you know what, I don't really need that after all. That was just in the moment, fleeting, unnecessary. So are you really saving money?
Yeah, it's like we're striving to have constant fleeting moments where what you were saying around having to wait for things allowed for a brief fleeting moment there. But then we went back to life and we had to do other things, right? So we're not constantly focused on or addicted to this doom scrolling as an example or all these other things. We are forced to go into our life and do different things. Kind of like when I was a kid and we had cable TV or channels or whatever, we had an antenna. But as a kid, what I had to do was I had to wait every week for a new episode of Three's Company as an example. Or
Yeah,
remember Cheers, like that TV show. But I built up my excitement over the week, and then I had that
that's
fleeting
right.
moment of watching Cheers, and then it was done. And then I knew I had to wait for a week, and then I'd go about and do other things in my life. For now, I can sit in front of the TV and watch a whole season of a show constantly, which takes me away from life and doing things, or that discernment that you're talking about, or critical thinking skills, or socializing, or getting exercise, or being with
Well,
friends and being with
also,
people. Yeah.
you miss out on all that excitement of waiting an entire week too, right? And that's what makes life fulfilling too. It's just having that excitement of, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next week. And then once it happens, it's done and you've let it go and you're like, okay. And then you start that cycle again. So that cycle has completely shrunk down to almost, nothing, where
Yeah.
there is no excitement anymore because you just click a button and it's there. Click a button and it's there. So now, instead of having to, wait for an entire week, you can just every second keep clicking a button and you're instantly, you don't even get to build the excitement anymore because it's already there.
Yeah. And then afterwards you're on a down, right?
Yeah.
I just did the whole thing. And now what am I going to do? So now I need to go
Now
back to
what?
social media to find out what am I going to do next, or what show am I going to do next, or meeting with friends. Hey, are you watching this season? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? It's wow, this video world that we live in. Interestingly enough, when I was a kid, my brother and I used to get, remember those Cadbury Easter cream eggs,
Oh yeah, they're
like the
good.
big ones that they were egg size.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you and I are very similar personality types. My brother, he would get an Easter cream. He would get an Easter cream egg, Jeff, and he would peel it very slowly. And you'd take a bite off the top and leave it on his bedpost. And then he'll take another bite the next day, leave it on his bedpost. Hell no. I ate mine right away. But he had long-term happiness because he said, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy this Cadbury Easter cream egg for a while. And I don't know if it collected dust or anything like that, but I was so jealous of him because I had nothing left.
Right.
And maybe that's why we're living into busyness, so we can escape what is it? I guess this loneliness or this feel of inadequacy. If I keep on doing things, then I'm important.
Well, let's even shift this into our relationships, right? Not just
Yeah.
products or things like that, but let's think about our relationships. So when you first meet somebody, what's more fulfilling? Is it having sex with them on the first date, or building up to that eventually and getting to know them and feeling more connected to them, so that maybe a few months or whatever it might be, is the act going to be more fulfilling if the day you meet them, have sex with them? Or is there, is it more exciting and rewarding and fulfilling to wait and have that with them, right? To build that connection with them and feel that excitement and that desire of wanting to be with them.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about my relationship with my wife, and yeah, we did things I can't share too much, but yeah.
We'll edit this
Anyway,
in, don't worry.
I know. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that topic without getting in trouble. Because
But it's just another example. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not just in our purchasing decisions or decisions to share things on social media. It's all about it's in our relationships too, right? It's instant gratification. So and that's what all these hookup sites have done, right? There's no longer, because here's the difference. Even social media and technology and platforms have impacted our ability to have deep, meaningful relationships. Because now, instead of what did we have to do when we were younger to meet somebody, potentially to have a mate or a girlfriend or whatever it was, right? It's like there was effort involved.
Yeah.
We would have to buy some decent clothes to look good and all these things, and go out to a social event and talk to people. We had to talk to people, and we had to, present a certain part of ourselves and in order to attract somebody.
Yeah.
And we may or may not, as you know, you didn't always get lucky, if you will.
No.
You didn't always meet that person that night, because there may or may not have been someone there that was attracted to you that night. And nowadays, you can just go online and click a button, and you can have sex the same day with someone you don't even know.
Yeah, or through pornography as well.
Well, yeah, that too,
right, which is creating a whole other expectation around what sex is actually like.
Yeah, but again, my point is it's created even more disconnection in our personal relationships, or relationships that we should, or expect to have at some point in our lives, because it's so convenient to have our desires and the ego's needs fulfilled in the moment. Why have a deep connection with somebody when you can just get instant gratification right now? So people choose the easier route, because just going onto a site and clicking a button to have sex with someone is a lot easier than taking the effort to go out and meet somebody and talk to them and get to know them, and eventually maybe you have sex at some point, over time. But that's a lot more effort.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot more rewarding.
There's a stat that I heard years ago that the thing that makes people happiest is solving problems, is working through things. If I think about when you and I have chatted through the problems that we've had in our lives, it's been so fulfilling to support one another and to do that kind of stuff. Or even when you think about our careers, we're there to solve a problem. We're there to work with other people to figure things out. And as a result, if we're able to do that, it's much more motivating, both intrinsically and extrinsically, because we're doing that. And then if you go into, and we also experience failure and success. So
Yeah.
back in the when I was younger, if I wanted to find a mate or whatever, yeah, I had to figure out what am I going to do? How do I need to dress? What do I need to say? I would see sometimes I would succeed, sometimes I'd fail, but it wasn't something that happened right away. So I was actually experiencing life and learning from it, which which also required challenge and courage. And it's those moments in life that I remember the most. When was I most challenged? When was I most courageous? What did I have to do? What
Yeah. So build self confidence,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also built purpose.
Mm-hmm. And now AI has all the self confidence, and we think we have self confidence because we can pull it up on AI and experience it. But what's that going to do to our minds?
Yeah, because ultimately we're not really like, think about it. It doesn't take any effort to, let's just continue using this example, find someone to have sex with online. It takes no effort. It takes no confidence. It takes nothing from myself to do. Not that I'm doing that, but I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying, like,
yeah,
so it's so essentially because I know I can get that desire or ego need met if I just click a button. But I don't actually have to put the effort into it. And like you said, overcome my own internal barriers. So there's no growth, right? Because, like you said, I have to think about the right things to say, and I'm problem solving, and I have to go to the right places that I think I might meet a suitable mate, and I have to actually put the effort into getting to know them and things like that. Versus which takes a lot more resilience and self confidence, and there's a lot more growth in that journey than just clicking a button and getting my ego desires, met in the instant moment. It doesn't take any confidence to click a button. It doesn't take any. There's no growth in that, and so it can never feel truly fulfilling because it's not. We're not developing all those capacities within ourselves. So it's like, oh well, is that person's really just with me because I clicked the button? It's almost commodified our relationships.
yeah. And there's a whole deeper meaning in everything in life that maybe we're missing out because when I was out doing online dating, I didn't talk about my inner child issues. I just try to portray this vision of myself. Oh, I'm a hiker. I'm an adventurer. I like doing this. And so it sets up this uh, perception as well that somebody's a certain way, but we're avoiding the deep, dark reality that sometimes is within us. And it's hidden through this medium. So we don't get a chance to get to know people. We have a preconceived notion that this is what you do.
Yeah, and this
And
is
then
who you are.
yeah, so now
Yeah,
with my wife, like no, she doesn't meet her profile anymore. We're not doing the same sort of things that she said she was going to do. And but we've worked through those problems. Same thing with me. There's probably things that I said on my profile, but we get older, we change. Life is really an emotional experience, and instant gratification I think triggers extreme joy or extreme sadness or fear. Do you know what I'm saying?
perhaps, or maybe it doesn't really trigger any emotions, um, because again, there's no energy, there's no joy in clicking the button. It's a dead action
But
because
it
it's relying on something outside of ourselves to fulfill an inner need instead of actually really going out there to fulfill that inner need ourselves and the journey it requires to do it.
I don't know. So maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying, but let's go back in time when you and I were on Facebook. Okay. Let's say you saw one of my posts. You had different choices there. You could look at the post and just pass it. You could look at the post and put a like, or you can look at the post and put a comment. In those moments of you doing something there, what are you? So what I'm doing as an example is when somebody posts something, I'm putting a like is to show that I'm important and I think you're important too. So I'm trying to support them, which is again feeding into both my own gratification that they know that I like them, that I'm supporting them, but it's not a real connection. It's a
No,
connection through an image or a video or a joke or a photo that that person is valuable to me. And I'm valuable because I'm commenting on it.
yeah. How many times, think about it, how many so-called friends on Facebook do you have? About 400, right? Or at least I did when I got off it, about 400.
Wow.
In reality, though, if you think about it, when we were growing up, how many friends did you actually have? Truthfully, how many friends did you actually have? And what I mean by have, that you hung out with on a regular basis, that you enjoyed the company of.
Probably 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have all these so-called friends that aren't really friends because they don't really know us. They don't live our life with us. We don't have any deep emotional experiences with them. And how can we? Because all of our experiences with them are non-experiences through Facebook. Yeah, we've liked a bunch of their photos, but we don't really know them and they don't really know us.
No, and the only time that we might be able to connect with them in a lot of cases is when it's our funeral. Right. And then they
Wow,
notice
that
that
got dark really
I
quickly,
know.
dude.
Sorry. Yeah. 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 No, it's just, oh, all of a sudden all these people show up or you get this, oh, I'm so my deepest sympathies. Yeah. He was such a great person or blah, 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 blah. But they were not even really part of your life. They're just part of your social media feed.
Yeah, yeah. That's all people are nowadays, it seems, and that's why there's so much disconnect in the world. Is people are looking for this fulfillment somehow through get externally validated through likes and comments of things they're doing in their life, but they're going through their life alone, as I've experienced. That's why I got off it, because I want to create those connections again in real life to have those experiences, and it doesn't need to be documented. It needs to be lived.
And that's one thing that I'm taking away from this episode is this need that I have to document life experiences. Because what I do every year is I put together a year in review video, which just highlights everything. And I do like watching those videos once in a while because I can see the progression of my life. Yeah, thanks. You just did a yawning signal. Yeah, for others, it's probably super boring. But for me, it's like, hey, look at me, look what I've done. And yeah, why do I do that? But just to actually, for example, be in Vietnam and see that cave and just say, wow, this is a beautiful cave. And it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter if I take a photo of it because at the end of the day, whoever gets a copy of all my photos, it's not like they're going to look through each one and say, wow, I can't believe my dad did this or I can't believe they did that. It's just
Just as
and it doesn't
just
matter
as
because I'll be
no,
gone. Yeah.
yeah, and they weren't there, and they don't have that connection with that experience and or yourself. And so what they're going to do, just as you did with most of your dad's photos, they're going to throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have whales pass by and where I live, and then people are out there taking pictures of it, and it just makes me think, yeah, that's just silly. I know what a whale looks like. Why do I need to
Yeah.
take a picture of it?
Right.
There was something I heard. This was a long time ago that if you weren't able to share an experience, would you still want the experience as much? If you weren't able to
Say that
talk
again.
about it. Okay. So if you weren't able to talk about it, like let's say you meet a movie star and you couldn't tell anybody, would it still be as valuable? Or does the value of that come when you tell other people you wouldn't believe who I met?
Actually, I think there's more value internally, because this is what the problem is, right? Is as soon you ever notice this is when I experience, let's say I win a gold medal for something. In that moment, the experience of winning a gold medal is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? But the more I talk about it, the more people know about it, it actually becomes less and less special,
Mm-hmm.
because we're just talking about that moment now. We can never recapture that moment. And it dissipates the energy around that moment because we're spreading it out. Once everyone knows, then there's nothing left in that moment. But if we keep it to ourselves, we can relish that moment for so much longer.
That's a good
But
point.
but
Yeah.
but instead of relishing it internally, we want to get it on social media as quick as we can to say, "Hey, look at me." That diminishes that moment, because because it's about our ego instead of that deeper self fulfillment that we got from that moment of winning the gold medal. It's more about, look at me, who am I? Look at who I am. Look what I can do. It's all about the ego instead of, it's not coming from the heart, right? It's coming from here. the head.
Yeah, and to share moments like that is important because it creates conversation and creates stories. It allows people to have to talk about something,
Sure, it can.
right?
Yeah,
Um, but to have that discussion just come from not an ego perspective, which is hard.
yeah,
Yeah, this is yeah, I'm not sure how to respond to that because I can see, like, for example, when my wife and I travel, we tell other people about our travels, and then they say, "Oh yeah, we might go there as well," which is driving that experience. Hmm. But it again, it does drive conversation. It does, especially with people that you hang out with a lot. If you didn't have these experiences, what would you talk about? I think even better is to have experiences with others. Like when you and I went mountain biking together, right?
yeah,
I didn't tell everybody about the fact that you and I went mountain biking, but it was an amazing experience because we were actually there experiencing it in the moment. I think that, I guess what I'm saying is that really the experience that we have in life is sometimes best when it's done with others because we experience it mutually, maybe.
yeah. I think it's
And
always done
is,
best with
yeah,
others, and the experience itself is the medium.
yeah.
It's not social media.
No, because yeah, in that moment, like what you're saying, there's no, one person's feeling joy, the other person's not. The person who's looking at
Yeah,
it, they're just seeing what you saw or heard. That's it. They weren't there with you doing it.
the difference between now and when we grew up is it feels like people are having these experiences to get recognition instead of just experiencing,
Yeah.
instead of just living the experience. So they're missing out before they even have the experience because they're having it for the wrong reasons. It's
Hmm.
ego driven.
Yeah. And I guess if I look at the underlying fear for me is I want photos so I'm remembered, so I don't forget.
Right. Well, it's a way to know that we existed, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a deeper fear. The deepest human fear is the fear of annihilation.
Yeah.
That we how because when we die, how do we ever know that we actually existed? We want to leave something behind to show that we existed. We do that. I brought this up before. We do that through children, having children. We
Yeah.
do that through leaving some sort of legacy or whatever it might be. We do that also in that's why some people believe in reincarnation too, right? So so again, it's all about that fear of annihilation, that somehow I existed or somehow my life meant something,
Hmm.
right? And having these pictures, having these things captured digitally for all sake and purposes, those digital moments are captured forever now. They're in in the virtual world, unless of course all that gets destroyed, which at some point it will down billions of years, I'm sure, from the universe, or the technology will change. I don't know, but at the end of the day, and that's something else that we have to consider too is now that we have these digital, if you will, forever photos, people, we back in the day we had physical copies of things, but those things could easily get destroyed.
Hmm.
They would always fall to the test of time because things decay. But
Yeah.
having things virtually now, things last for forever, supposedly, or not necessarily forever, but at least a lot longer than they would have if it was a physical copy of something, right? So if anything, it reinforces that need to show that I existed, that somehow my life was meaningful, because 500 years from now, my great, 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 great grandchildren will be able to look at me online.
Yeah. And really, we're not around to experience that.
No, and those people are descendants. It won't mean anything to them anyways because they'll look at it and they'll just see this old photo of somebody that was one of their ancestors that they have no connection to.
Yeah. It's void of any emotions at all
Yeah,
because they didn't experience you.
yeah. And they didn't experience you in your time either, and they
Yeah.
don't have your historical understanding of our time in their time.
So to wrap up this conversation is instant gratification for me is based on fear, is based on insecurities I felt, is based on I want to feel important, feel valued. And by me having instant gratification, I fulfill those needs. But what I'm losing is I'm losing connection to myself, connection with others, and I'm living in an artificial world. And I loved how you said, why do we need to know everything? It doesn't matter.
Why do we? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. No.
I saw something ironically on LinkedIn the other day, and it was talking about the epidemic of loneliness we're having.
Yeah.
And essentially, and it was so true. It was like, here's the reality of most people's life. We wake up, we look at a 6.5-inch screen. We go to work, we look at a 16-inch screen. We come back to rest and relax. We look at a 55-inch screen. Then we look at our 6.5-inch screen again and fall asleep.
Yeah.
And you wonder why we're lonely.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
and I feel that resonates with me a lot because I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's like I always want to occupy my mind with meaningless information.
So how are we ever going to feel truly fulfilled and ever feel gratification? Because we have no connection. So we're always looking for that instant gratification, but we never actually realize it because we don't have connection to anyone. We're more connected to our screens than we are to each other now.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, thank you. Love this conversation. As you know, I have to end this podcast a bit earlier because my family's coming and they want my instant gratification when they show up at that front door. And I have to answer it. And they could be knowing my mom, she's going to be here right on time.
Of course she is.
Yes. Because she wants... Yeah, okay, we're not going to get into that.
All right, my dude.
Anyway, my friend. Okay, folks, thanks for listening.